So first of all, thank you very much to World CSR Congress and on this World CSR Day. And welcome to my co-panelists, Geeta and Simi. I just wanted to first set a very quick context of this particular session. It's about social innovation, and it's about how our ideas created and how do we put them into action? How do we implement these ideas so that we can actually create solutions that can create a social impact? And from a social innovation perspective, I think it's important to know that these are, the social innovation is really about ideas, about strategies, about solutions that can create a sustainable social impact. And that's the goal that all of us are working towards. And I will be turning to my co-panelists to give a very quick 1-minute brief introduction to the kind of social innovation projects that they have been doing before we go further into this. So, Simi, can I start with you?
Good evening, everybody. Though it's last, but I'll say not the least. So it is a good session. So I'll say, because I was listening to everybody, whatever I was thinking, I'll speak, and then I saw my co-panelist, she was also writing and all that. I said, I don't know what I'm going to speak. When it comes, I'll speak. And what I want to say, there is no, fixed mind, or, when we want, or this is the way we will innovate, or we'll do something. It is just when we pass by, we see, yes, this is a migratory population. And I was just thinking about other projects also. If I think back, I just see, yes, we see trees are being cut, these concrete jungles are being rising up. So where are the lungs we are? So just thinking of those projects. So that is one of the projects which I'm not going to talk about it today, but I was just thinking, this is how the social innovation happens. It is just that we know the problems around us and we are trying to mitigate. We are not saying totally, we are just a drop in the ocean and we are just trying to see what we can do. So now I'll say about my introduction is, I am Simi and I have been with the HCL Foundation for the past 16 years. I will say CSR was not the buzzword, but there are many companies who always wanted to give back to the society. Yes, I always have very high regards for Tatas, because whatever they do, whenever they do have that sense of, having that responsibility. It is not that social as a corporate, as an individual social responsibility I've seen in all their projects. So this is where I will say HCL always wanted to give back. And they never mixed Mr. Nadar's, Shiv Nadar, foundation or HCL Foundation. It was always kept separate. So this is where, my introduction is and our work started. So
maybe before you hand it over to Geeta, can you tell, maybe just about the one project, the police boys and girls?
So what I'm going to talk about today is if you ask me, yes, the problem statement was that, Chennai is today considered the most, I think it's a 4th populous slum, other than Mumbai, Kolkata, Hyderabad, and then there is Chennai. And Chennai, what we thought is it in 2003, I think Jayalalitha's time, these clubs had been set up, and then again, we all shared in the morning, when the government changes, the things change. So, again, the idea was given up. It was boys' club. So we took it over in 2011. So that is the time we thought that it will not be boys' club. Recently, we have said, why we never thought of, only boys' club. So why we will make it a boys and girls club. So these are just the safe places in the slum area where, children feel safe and they feel this is their area. So that is from where that is a pivot over there from where the rest of the incubations start happening and we give them those spaces.
Thank you, Simi. And I think that's a very important one. I think even in the earlier sessions, we've spoken about equality, making sure that the girls and the women are given an equal space. And I think this, the idea of adding girls to the boys club is an interesting one. We'll hear more about it. I'll hand over to Geeta to talk about some of the innovations at Bal Rakshak.
Thank you, Farhad, and thanks, Simi. I think it's a very important point that you brought in about community participation in the solution that they provide, and that's where an idea generates from. Hello everyone, I'm Geeta Lama. I'm the Chief Communication Officer for Bal Raksha Bharat, or Save the Children India, as you may also know, some of you may know. I think I'm also a storyteller, so which is why I will probably tell you a lot of stories and set examples of how social innovation really is at the center of some exciting work that we do, because normally, you know, an NGO is always seen as doing some very serious work, and we believe that the beneficiaries who are going to kind of, you know, get benefited out of whatever program that we are running have to be at the center of not just identifying the problem, but also creating the solution. And which is why, coming back to the, what you've cited, the example of children's clubs, children's participation is at the center of, again, what we do. For us, we believe that any sustainable solution is when the community or the children or the beneficiary per se kind of comes up, identifies the problem themselves and comes up with a solution. I'll tell you, citing an example of one of the projects that we had on Stop Diarrhea initiative. We realized that, you know, there was a lot of advocacy going on, there was a lot of awareness that was being driven, typical, you know, pamphlets and booklets and lessons that were happening, but that did not really convert into the kind of behavioral change that we were looking at. So we decided, okay, let's do one thing, let's get these children to kind of do, so we created an activity which was called Picture Tell the Voice. And we asked these children to go back to their houses, to their schools, in their community around them, in the neighborhood, start taking pictures. We equipped them with some basic camera operational skills, handed them cameras, and they started clicking pictures of whatever they felt was dirty. And then they came back, posted these pictures, and some of them were really very icky for other kids. We said, okay, now you've seen what the dirt is all about, go back and change it. You know, they went back, and then we told them that you have to come back with a cleaner version of the same picture. They went back and did that corrective measure, took a cleaner picture, came back and pasted it as against the older picture that they had. And they saw an immense change. By just some simple steps as probably washing hands, ensuring cleanliness around them, making sure there was no waterlogging, you know, simple things that they took. And that is something that they went back to their families and their mothers to tell them that this is what must happen, because I have to click pictures and post it in my school. It was a very small initiative, and probably in the early 2000s, which still remains with the community. And that, I think, is a very small social innovation that we undertook to create a much lasting change.
And I think, you know, I think you were sharing with me about the impact of that in the cases of diarrhea, etc. And I think that's an important one, how it links back, that something as simple as this kind of photo intervention, which then creates an impact where it decreases the number of cases of diarrhea just because of the cleanliness that the community itself is able to take ownership of.
Absolutely. So I think the project outcome that we had put forth initially, the outcome was 3 times more than what we had expected and anticipated. And there was an increase by 80% on diarrhea awareness, which brought down the cases so many more.
Now, I'll also share, you know, some of the initiatives. I think there are quite a few, and I think, you know, these are I think in every organization we take up very small initiatives, and some of us take up large initiatives. I think there's no initiative, innovation, creativity that we can include in our organizations that is too small. Anything that can bring about a lasting change, however small the initial impact is, can create a downstream effect. It can have a domino effect. So one of the things that we did in our rural preschools. So I'm Farhad Merchant. I'm with Aga Khan Education Service India. I've been with the Aga Khan Education Service India at the start of my shift into the social sector. So I was in the IT corporate industry for about 17 years, and then I made a shift about 15 years back into the social sector. And at Aga Khan Education Service India, we run schools, we run preschools, we run a hostel, and we've got globally over 200 schools serving over more than 100,000 students. Large number of them are from rural areas. So 88% of our schools, preschools, etc., are in the rural areas. And the socioeconomic profile of the students that come to our school is also from the lower and lower middle income group. So the idea is to ensure that all these students have an equitable education, ensure that they are getting the quality of education that you would get in the best schools of the world, regardless of the curriculum that we follow. And one of the things in rural India that we tend to see even today, after so many years of independence, is the caste system, where you have got, two Anganwadis, and one of them will be accessed by the upper caste and one of them by the lower caste. And we set up our preschool right in the middle of the two. And then we encouraged, because of the quality that we were providing, both the parents wanted to send their children to that, but they initially did not want to send their children if the other caste is there. And that whole mindset change for them to be able to say, no, this is education that needs to be there, and it will only thrive if we have people, if we have an inclusive environment where we have everybody in there. And I think that change in that mindset, it took time, but eventually it has resulted in those communities coming together, breaking these barriers of caste system, etc. And I think that would be just one of the things that I want to talk about. We'll come back to some more. I'll go back to Simi. So I think what we'd like to do, and I think all of us here will benefit from, is not just the innovation perspective, but how do these ideas get created? How do they germinate? How do we cultivate them? And then how do we translate them into action, which is really about the theme of the session. So I'll hand it over to you, Simi. Maybe you can throw some light on that.
I think, as I shared in the beginning only, that, it is not that, we are already thinking about that kind of an innovation. It is, yes, day to day, whether through news, through our passing by the area, see those problems, but somehow we overlook them. But yes, when the group comes together, what is that we need to do? This is how I have seen at, I can say the experiences may differ for everybody, but this is where I realized that, we were just called once that what is that we want to do? So we said we see so many these slums, on the way, and there are so many problems. And then they said, okay, go for a visit. I think before this panel somebody shared, it is not that, we thrust something on them and we don't engage them. So we also have those tools with us. We do those tools, take those tools to where we do the PR exercises in the community, with the community. So first we try to see what are the challenges they have. We all know that migratory population, when they come to these cities, and they think the life is going to change because they are going to get a good job and, money is going to be there. But when they realize they have to even buy their clean drinking water, that is where their all the resources end up. They can't even dream of sending their children to school. So all these challenges, when we see, are there. And that is where we just thought, why not to bring that convergence kind of a model? Why just one partner go and do, we just, because being a corporate, we can just give one, partner somebody and say, okay, this is where, if you look after the education, that's not enough. We have to have the convergence. We brought in many partners together and we said, this is how we want to work in this cluster and want to see the impact which we are sitting here and thinking of. And that is where the social innovation starts. We find that, children also need opportunities, basket of opportunities, because we cannot tell everybody to, get into one kind of, career or something. So we just give them a lot of opportunities where, we send some of the children for what are the opportunities there for the career, what is that sports can bring you. What is that, if somebody said, mostly if you go and ask them, आप क्या बनना चाहते हो, they will say, police में जाना चाहता हूँ, मैं doctor बनना चाहता हूँ, but they never realize what is behind that. We cannot kill their enthusiasm. So that is where we start feeding them from various, you can say, prongs that, how it is feeding each child. So when that quality, or we see the quality has risen up, and then first it is, yes, the quantity, then later on it goes as a quality, which are the ones who are really striving, thriving, and really want to be there. So I have those kind of, examples also, where we have seen that
Feel
kind
free,
of.
share one or two examples. I think it
I
will
will
be
just
useful
share
for
that,
us.
there is one boy who just said what I shared, police may, I want to get in. And then we saw that, he did his 12th, he did his graduation, then still we found that he is not, his aspirations are still high. Then today he is a nodal officer and he is managing the data in the slum. So that is in Chennai. And the other girl who was so shy and, always scared because of the Eve teasing and all that, today she is a rugby player. Another one paid for, and she, I think even there is, because I do forget the names of these places, Chamanjeri and all that in Chennai. So, today she is played a nationals from her area. So you can see how small the dream is. The girl who doesn't even know what is rugby, and today she's a national player. So these kind of, testimonies and case studies really rise the hope in many other children, and parents, I think from elite to even any parent would like the best for their child. This is where the feeding starts happening. And I would like to talk about the sustainability, which is the biggest thing. And these people only become the alumni for them. They want to spend, come in 2 hours or whatever time they can afford. They know they are the transformers and they can transform the rest of the community. And they want to. They say, me also, ma'am, want to see this as a better space, better place, and this is how we see as a sustainable model also.
Thank you, Simi. Over to
Sorry,
you,
I go a
Geeta.
little overboard, you have to stop
No,
me.
perfectly fine. I think it's important to for us to go deeper than just the data. Some of these examples give us insights into the kind of work, because otherwise it becomes a very theoretical conversation. And I think the idea is for us to learn from each other and to pick up on how these ideas are actually getting created, but also how they are evolving over a period of time through the engagement interactions with the community. So Geeta, you spoke about that a little bit, so I'm going to ask you to go deeper, but and also touch upon the other innovation that you had spoken about, where there's technology being used for disaster communication during disasters, I think is what it was, right?
I will go to the first part of the question, talking about how these ideas germinate. I think there's a very interesting example that I would like to cite here. I think the first seeds of children's participation was, of course, sown much way back. But when, on one of the occasions when our board sat down to talk about how is it that we have a more participatory approach to the community and the beneficiaries, there from one of the board members came the idea of including children on our board. So they become the decision makers of any of the programs that are going to benefit them. So we have children who are a part of our governing board who also have a say into what they think the program would really look like at the grassroots level when it is being implemented. So I think that is one of our most breakthrough innovations that we could have gotten in, because children become a part of the governing council, right? Similarly, I think, citing another example, going by what you had said, we also have a concept of child champions, where children are championing the social cause, and they are taking it upon themselves. Now, it's not by force, it is not by advocacy, it is an absolute choice of theirs. They take it upon themselves to kind of amplify the concern within the community, and they want to change the community. So child champions, one of our child champions right here in the slums of Govandi was a part of our Stop Diarrhea initiative, our WASH initiative, considering that's one place that really needs a lot of health and hygiene program. And representing India and children and the slums of Govandi to UNGA, to being a goalkeeper of the BMGF, those kind of accolades that she got. Today, that girl is an academic instructor in one of our multi-activity centers. I mean, so it's not just from health and hygiene aspect, but she wants to kind of be a part of, the holistic development is what I was talking about. And so for a child who herself was struggling with education for her own self, and she comes from a, communally a community, yeah, no, I will not say that, but a community where it was very difficult for girls to kind of, educate themselves for so much, to have seen the world, to have become an educator. So these are, so I think participation is like the core of where we innovate from. If I could just kind of, sorry about that, but if I could just come back to community participation, we also brought out something called community scorecards. The idea was that the users of these programs score you based on certain, indicators that were provided to them. And when we were providing them the solutions, we asked people from the panchayat and other elders from the village or the community to score us based on whatever that they thought that was impacting them. And that became like a feedback approach. So, the community became a part of the feedback process and bettering the solutions. So these are small participatory approaches that we really think came a long way. Of course, the second part, sorry, is about including technology. We have a lot of our donors who kind of, provide CSR funds and grants to us for solutions. But we also wanted our stakeholders to be equal participants by providing, whatever that they were best at. And that is how, for a disaster risk reduction program that we have, we got, if I may name, Nokia, to provide us solutions where early warning systems were developed. We started getting, providing to the fishing community there early warning signs of storms. We also get them to develop a program, an app which provided alerts in case of road accidents to the required departments, say a health or a police department, to tell them where the accidents really occurred. So, these were some really great examples that went a long way for us to provide the solutions.
Thank you so much. I think that's, there are a lot of takeaways from all the things that you just shared. A lot of it is about participation. It is about empowering the young to be able to take responsibility for themselves. It's about giving access or in some ways an ability for the community itself to give feedback in order to score what kind of programs you're doing. A lot of good practices. I think these are useful, and I'm sure each of us can take away from those as well. I'll share one of the examples from Aga Khan schools that we got from, again, coming from the feedback that we got from the students itself. And I'm just picking up on the technology piece as well as the feedback from the students. So the students actually wanted, post-pandemic, to be able to continue to use the technology that they were getting when they were in online schooling. So the whole idea was, when we were in an online class, we got to use these, fancy quizzes and so on in order for our learning. And now suddenly we are back in class and we are going back to the traditional approaches. So we took that feedback and we went back to the drawing board to say, what is it that we could do? And rather than, sitting in an ivory tower somewhere, the approach that we take at the Aga Khan schools is that we first, engage more people in the problem-solving process itself. So in order to give them, what is the problem statement that we're trying to solve, we allow them to be creative in their ideas and approaches, share with us what it is that they want to do, allow them a space for experimentation as well. So, what is it that they could do to be able to enable the learning to continue in the manner that it was during the online classes. And then we kind of, look at the best solutions that have come from across, because we've got schools across states and districts. And then we look at the ones that are most easily replicable and scalable, and then we roll it out to the wider set of schools. So we actually went ahead and created these mobile tech labs, and that's where the technology comes in, which we have these laptops in trolleys that we can wheel into the classroom. So where earlier they would have to go to an IT lab to be able to get some kind of classes in, and those were purely computer related classes, but these allowed us to enhance the learning process in whether it's science or maths or English in the classrooms itself. So there was a supplementing of the learning that took place based on the kind of tools that they had already got familiar with using, such as the quizzes and so on that we had introduced to them. So that, they are of course very happy. The teachers are extremely excited because of this new opportunity. They certainly feel that they're more contemporary in terms of what they are doing. And when the teachers are passionate, the children tend to learn more. So it's been a kind of a great, cycle of positive change. And that has come because of this empowerment that has been given, this platform for, a kind of a safe space. We spoke about safe spaces. This is in a way a safe space that is created for somebody to experiment and learn without fear of failure. So the minute you give that kind of an opportunity, I think it creates that, that level of engagement as well. I'm going to stop there because we've got roughly about 10 minutes left, and I wanted to also get some questions, and or if anybody in the audience would like to share some innovations that you have, and more than just the innovation, the manner in which those ideas germinate in your organization, how do you cultivate them, how do you take them forward into practical solutions. So I'll open up the floor for anybody to ask questions. Thank you very much both. Yeah, just introduce yourself as well.
Yeah, myself Aniket Salvi. I'm a professor at Mumbai University and the founder for the Rajni Foundation India since last 9 years. Basically, we work with the tribal community in the Western Maharashtra region, Mumbai, Raigad, Ratnagiri, Dhanu, and Palghar region. Okay, here basically we work. Now, basically, I basically have a question. Okay, probably while having the discussion from the morning, one thing we came to know regarding the dropout rate, regarding the dropouts, and probably when we feel and basically my organization probably work with the tribal community and in the tribal hamlets where rarely anyone is graduate. Okay, so my question is ki many of the times what we see ki it is the economical backwardness or the social backwardness which is been leading to the maximum dropouts. But if you look at the dropout rates, okay, if you look at the dropout rates from the Maharashtra government or something, majority of the students who are getting dropout are after the grade of 7th or after the grade of 8th. Okay, and here we have the understanding ki like there might be not be the possibility of having a good education, or the people or the students or the communities are not that aware of. But after the finding or after doing a pilot research in the various districts, what we found out ki the main purpose is not economical backwardness. Yeah, social backwardness might be the one of the reason, but economical backwardness is not always the reason. Probably after the 7th grade and 8th grade, there are rarely government school, and they are supposed to shift to the unaided school or the private school, which are at the outskirts of the villages. And here comes the question of the distance. Okay, majority of the schools which are like for the 8th grade or 9th grade or 10th grade or even for the junior college are at the distance of 6 kilometers, 7 kilometers, and those 6 kilometers or 7 kilometers are not the load like whatever we have in the Mumbai. So that is becoming a major barrier. You again will be surprised to know that in a district of Thane, which is near to Mumbai, there's a village called as Fulorepada and Pisepada where we have been working since last 9 years. It is near Padga. Okay. In 2020, there were the 4 students who became first from the entire village to pass class 10th SSC exam. And this is, I'm talking about 2020. It is available on the various media platform. And those students whom we have adopted in like 2014 or 2015, in 2020, they became the first student. But the point is, the same thing has been, whenever we are having a research thing, the same thing, what we are finding it out, the distance is becoming a major problem. And here, as an organization or as a corporate or as a government, how we can find a solution for it? That's my question. Thank you.
So I would actually throw that question back to you and to the audience. How, in your mind, what is it that could be done? Because we have got a wide range of people here from the government, from the private, and from the social sectors. What is it that can make this happen? Any ideas? Because at the end of the day, it's all about, ideation, creation of ideas and innovation that will help us to solve the problem that you've just cited.
One thing what we are thinking of, it is like, it is better to convert those schools which are already that is 7th grade or till 8th grade, at least till 10th grade. Okay, that is one of the solution what we find it out. Or second, at least for the public transport services from village to village or during the school times or the school hours, the government should come in. This is what something which I find it out.
Great. So that is one way, but at the same time, since you mentioned about distance, there are solutions and working solutions that are there. So for example, the Society for All-Round Development runs these buses. There is Doorstep School, which runs these educational buses, which actually go to the directly to the community where the need is, and provide these kind of, and it may not be a full-fledged proper school, but you can actually focus on at least some of the key areas like maths and English and IT and so on, where the education is provided at the doorstep. And those are things which could potentially be leveraged, scaled up and provided. And I'm also going to, I think Geeta wanted to add something. So I'm just saying that think of ideas that are existing, that are in society today, that are working, and that have proven success models that you can look at replicating for the areas that you're trying to address. I think that would be a way to look for. That's the reason we are having this discussion. It's not about all of us having all the answers, but looking at approaches. How do we look at ideas? How do we create an environment? We actually ran sessions that trained our staff on design thinking, right? So it's not that all of us will be creative day one and we'll have all our ideas on the table. It's about how do you create an environment that encourages this kind of creativity? How do you create an environment where you have cross-functional people coming across the table to be able to ideate and come up with solutions? I think that's where we should be headed. Geeta?
Thanks, very well said, Farhad. I think, as he rightly said, it's also important for the solutions to come from the other end. Citing an example, we had L&T as one of our partners, and the one thing that they felt was that the children of people working within their factories were not going to school. And so we said, okay, well, in this case, if the thirsty is not coming to the well, why don't we kind of make the well mobile? And that's when we decided to create, I mean, not a novel idea though, but we made mobile buses, mobile schools and mobile Anganwadis. So mobile school was something that was still very popular, but we made Anganwadis mobile to ensure that the young kids up to 6 years of age were also getting, they were getting the taste of what an Anganwadi would seem like. The idea is not for us to replace what the government does, but to link them up with what the government is actually doing, where there is also a lack of awareness. And at times, I would say for loss of any other word, probably laziness, to go that extra mile and reach there. So we have to become, like one nodal center for them to kind of come to, and then eventually be able to reach out to those government schemes. And that's where I think for solutions, partnerships makes a lot of difference. And it's not always up to the implementing organization to look for solutions, but we really invite a lot of, I mean, considering that, there is so much of, a resource within the corporate segments to actually design those solutions. So we would really welcome solutions coming from the partner side also.
He has a question. One more.
I'm from 63 Moons. See, we have come across an organization from Thana, it's called Vanvasi Kalyani Yojana, which has a chain of hostels for them. And we have partnered with them at least 4-5 hostels where we have provided them a little of infrastructure. For example, they wanted a kitchen along with the dining. They wanted a roof change to be done. Like that, we have done at least 3-4 projects with them. And each hostel has got about 50 to 60 students. Mostly they are above 6th class, mostly. And above 7th class. And we have come across from interaction with them, some of them have even graduated and well settled in life. So therefore, this is one of the model where you keep in a place which is very nearer to school, away from the village, and they provide, in fact, with all the required infrastructure and food for 10 months. Holidays, of course, they are permitted to go back to the village so that they are back with the family, and also
this becomes
holidays.
like an access ladder for these students.
Exactly.
So I think that's another idea that you can take away from this. Excellent, thank you.
Sorry, also adding to the question that the gentleman had asked, Sir Yu, I think, the end purpose of every education is employability. So that's another thing that we kind of took, this thing to, and we decided that, so we created something called multi-activity centers, where we not just provided bridge schooling, but also skillable and employable skills. And that was something that really attracted the youth, because exactly the same, like the 7th and the 8th dropouts started coming back for those skills, and to get those skills, they had to come back to education. So that was another innovation. I think that works brilliantly too.
Thank you. I think, and on that note, we may have to, sorry, but can we take one more?
No.
I'm so sorry. We can probably take it offline, but thank you very much to my panelists, Geeta and Simi, and like to close the session.
We will listen to her.
All right. Sure.
Sorry for this delay, but I am Radhika Gandhe. I am Assistant Professor in Indira College of Arts, Commerce and Science, Pune. I just wanted to ask regarding we are talking about sustainability right from the children's age. So inculcating the value of dignity of labor, which we might are lacking behind. Simi ma'am rightly mentioned that everyone wants to become a doctor, everybody wants to become an engineer, but nobody wants to become an electrician or a plumber, who are also equally required in whatever we are leaving around. So if we can inculcate the value right from the age of 8, 9 or 10th, it can be a helping hand for sustainability. That is the only thing I wanted to add. Thank you.
Great point. No, thank you very much.